Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well. I was planned on being a little bit earlier than that, but I'm still early. Let me just bring up chat so I can see it. Let me just flick this up on the screen so I can put it somewhere where I know it's going to get seen throughout. So we put that like, I don't know, so we put it like there. That'll work, won't it? No, it works for now. Yes. Don't forget to hit that like. Hit the like. What the fucking hell happened there? I don't know what happened there. Wire tied around. Around my foot. Round my foot and yanked me mic. How is the sound? Can everyone hear? I don't know how far behind I am. I thought that was my mouse. It wasn't. I grabbed something else. I wondered why my cursor wasn't working. How is everyone anyway? I love the new font. Thank you. Which one? This one in the corner. Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it? Little bit different. How is everyone? I hope you are all well. Who have we got in? Mod check. We've got Dixie. Hello, Dixie. We've got Ken. Hello, Ken. He's only just recovering from our live the other night. We've got Lorna. Hello, Lorna. Mysterious Headlines. Hello. We've got Aunt B. Hello, Aunt B. We've got Karen. Hello, Karen. Have I said Tracy already? Hello, Tracy. Who else we got? Did I say Dixie? I'm getting old, so I can't remember. Lorna. Hello, Lorna. I think that's it. I did see Dope earlier, but she may have fallen asleep. Hello. Let me get that back up. It doesn't show the big emojis on screen. No. What do we got? Here's Royal Harsh. Hello, Sylvia. Hello. Don't worry, I'm not going to say hello to every single person. I think Mrs. Harsh is about somewhere. Somewhere. Did I see someone saying Sienna was in here as well? I think I'm going blind. I can't bloody see. There's so many things happening that I can't see. I don't know. Hello, Dope. Hello. Anyway, yes. So I thought I would jump on this evening. So we've got lives, just for those of you who don't know, we've got lives which run from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're all going to be, I believe, this next week at I can't remember. Is it going to be in the morning? There might be one in the morning. I can't remember. Just keep an eye out. I'll put a scheduler up. No, see, we don't do roll calls here. Roll calls are for weirdos. So, how is everyone? I hope you are all well. Yes, the mods, we do have a very, very good mod team here. They keep us all sane. Eyesight goes after 40. Mine started going, I think, at about 20. And we've got some new members I see joined. I don't know whether they're here now. We've got Carrie Clark, who joined. And we've got Virgo71, who joined. Like I say, I don't know if they're here at the moment. Mr. A.R. Hayes is in the house. Hello, my friend. I hope you are good. I hope you are well. One of our other fellow content creators. That was me trying to do French. Creators. And we're just going to have a look at some of the bits and pieces that are in the news. And in a bit, I will touch on the latest sort of bits and pieces of the Idaho 4. And the continued fallout from the court hearing the other day, and how we've got the double downers, aka the guilters, who seem to not understand what it means when they say no stalking. What an idiot. Mike O'Donnell is in the house. He is a fan of Vajazzle. Hello, my friend. Hello. Right, anyway, let's crack on. Let's get on with it. Or we'll be here all night, won't we? We'll be here all night. We don't want that. Right, so let's go on to. In fact, I'm going to press that button because that works easier. This one. So obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the Sydney attack. Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Obviously, a bit of a trigger warning. We're not going to show anything, but we are just going to discuss a little bit about what happened. Obviously, this guy has gone into a shopping mall in Bondi, which is a more affluent area of Sydney, in Australia, and gone on a bit of a frenzy. Seems to be a mental health background to it, where he had been sort of a mental health victim, if you like, for seemingly since he was a teenager. Let me just get a shot of that for a sec. So from about 17 years old, which is generally what we hear in it. Things have been going on for years and years, and nobody seems to do a lot about it. And then the shit hits the fan, and then all of a sudden it's like they even had people walking around the aftermath of this tragedy in like, I think it was like green jackets or something with mental health written on the back. I thought to myself, well, better late than fucking never, I suppose. But there we go. Dope Soul has put the buy me a coffee thing in there. I do also have this as well, this little thing on the screen, which is a QR code. Don't feel obligated. I'm just trying to keep up with the times. But yeah, so this shopping mall. Speaking to the media following the attack, police confirmed that the assailant had stabbed multiple people, killing 5 and wounding several others, including a small child. This guy has leant over into seemingly the pushchair of a female and attacked the baby. How horrendous can things get, and how low do people want to stoop? The mum has subsequently got the baby and thrown the baby to a couple of brothers, it would seem, who have taken the baby to safety, and the mum has subsequently been attacked, and she has sadly lost her life. But horrendous. But we do have to just think for a second about the heroic acts of a lone senior female officer who basically shot the perpetrator, shot him dead. There's a video going about. Again, I'm not going to show it. It's quite gruesome, but the aftermath of that shooting. In terms of the baby, I see people asking about the baby. The baby at the moment is in a critical condition, in ICU at a hospital. They're saying obviously that it's going to be a bit of a long road to recovery, but critical, sort of stable, but yeah, it's one of those. But as I see stuff, you will see stuff. But yeah, the latest on the baby is critical in ICU at the moment. But what else we got? Let's see what this says here. Not a great deal. To be fair, I'm not going to play that. I've done a video on it earlier, so you can have a look if you so wish to have a look at that. But yeah, it's just a bit shocking. You don't really sort of generally hear stuff like this around, around Australia. We don't see many stories. Don't get me wrong, they do happen, but they don't happen as frequently as we hear in other places. Knife crime in the UK is horrendous at the moment, especially in the capitals. We've got like London, we've got Liverpool, and it went for a period of just spiraling out of control. Like at the moment in London, you can't walk around wearing like a decent watch or even clothing. They're saying, like brand, so you look like you've got some money because you're likely to have yourself attacked. So yeah, it's pretty horrendous. But that's where we are with the Sydney attack at the moment. Again, a mental health. A guy's been named. Again, if you want to watch after the live, there is a video that's just dedicated to that, so I won't repeat it. I won't go over it again. But let's have a quick. I'll switch that screen over. We'll go over to what do we got? To news, shall we? And these actually on the screen, what you're now seeing, is I think it says here, yeah, look, Sydney attack, dying mum throws wounded baby to nearby brothers. Yeah, so all in all, a horrendous story. I don't know whether I can play this. Let's see what it says.
The mum got stabbed and the mum come over with a baby and threw it at me and was holding the baby. Yeah, it looked pretty bad, but yeah.
And how were you able to help out?
Just holding the baby and trying to compress the baby, and same with the mother, trying to compress the blood from stopping and calling ambulance and police.
And what did you use to help stop the blood?
Just shirts from the shop. Just kept yelling out to get some clothes, get some shirts, and just help us to compress and stop the babies from bleeding.
Thank you, Daniela.
What sort of condition was the actual baby? We understand it was a 9-month-old.
Mother holding the baby so well and really compressing. I think the baby's fine. The mother, unfortunately, me and another lady, which were compressing, she started to have a lot of blood coming out of her mouth.
So there you go. That was a little interview there done with the people who were involved in saving the baby, and as you can see, they were involved in trying to obviously save mum as well. But sadly, it was just too late. It was just too late. So again, horrendous. You know, these people have gone out. You know, a lady had said, you know, generally people are working Monday to Friday, and at the weekends they go shopping. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's horrendous, yeah. The mother saving her baby is just heart-wrenching, yeah. The last act she did was to save her child. My May is also saying in chat that there's a 7-year-old child in hospital as well. I know there's a few that have been injured. There are a few that have been injured. But sadly, 6 people lost their life. And then, right, so let's move down to where we go. We are going to Kansas now. Obviously, this is a story that I covered in a video earlier on, which is, we did this the other day, didn't we? We talked about the 2 Kansas mums who went missing, vanished off the face of the planet. And it turns out that, yes, 4 people have been arrested, including the mother-in-law, who is a gorgeous specimen. And by gorgeous, I mean she looks like the poster child for a fucking anti-meth campaign. Have we got a picture of her on here? That's unusual that we don't have a picture on here. Da-da-da-da. It doesn't show a picture, but again, I've got that in the I'll probably show that in a second. 4 people arrested in connection with disappearance of 2 Kansas women in Oklahoma. 4 people have been arrested in connection with the disappearance of 2 Kansas women last month in Oklahoma, authorities said. Veronica Butler, 27, and Jillian Kelly, 39, were reported missing on March 30th. It just says the 2 women left Hogan, Kansas, and did not make it to their intended destination. Well, it turns out they didn't reach their intended destination because they were ambushed by the mother-in-law, her boyfriend, and 2 other friends of them, which was Cole and Cora Twombly. What a surname. Yes. So I got told that let me just come back up on here. Yeah, I got told that one of the ladies, the remains have been found. I believe the FBI have said that, but I can't get my head around it. I genuinely can't get my head around it. I don't understand what goes through people's brains that they think, because what this is all seems to be around is apparently seems to be around the children, and that is that mum was trying to get full custody of the children. So grandmother had decided that the best thing to do to help this situation was to kidnap the mum and a mate and seemingly murder them. I don't know what goes through some of these people's brains. I can imagine them sitting around a table and trying to sort of talk, right, this is what we're going to do, right? We've got this issue where my daughter-in-law wants to take her children away and we need to do something about it. And someone's had a knock on the fucking head and thinks, oh, I've got a brilliant idea. And then they do this. And do they not kind of think things through? I don't get it. Hello everyone. It's always people killing people. What the fuck is wrong with the entire world today? It's sad. It is just it's insanity, is what it is. It's absolute insanity. Yeah, like Amber said, it's in this wild cases. If it's not life insurance, it's child custody. Always the same things. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And what is wrong with people? What is actually wrong with people? I just don't get it. I don't. And I'm speechless. It's not often I'm speechless. Speechless. Yeah. Speakless. I'm just making up words. I'm freestyling. Yeah, I just don't get it. Genuinely can't for the life of me. And it's not even this. It's not like these are things that don't happen. This is like a one-off. It happens a lot. It happens a lot, and way more than it should. And like I say, I just can't imagine these people sitting around. Could you imagine just being a fly on the wall? Like Batshit says here, some people are just sick and evil, but you still got to get to the point, haven't you? No matter how sick and evil you are, you're having this conversation. You're. Well, how does that go? How does that conversation go? People are nuts. People are nuts, but I just don't know. I just it's bizarre to me. It's bizarre. And like Baby Girl said, like, they think they won't get caught. But again, what does that tell you about people when they genuinely think that they can do something like this and not get caught? Oh, this sounds like a really good idea. This is brilliant. And it all does come back to, like Wendy here, mental health needs help. And it does. Do you know what I mean? We do have an absolute mental health. And I saw some people commenting earlier on the thing that happened over in Bondi. And obviously mental health. And I think some people, to be honest, when I first heard it, the first thing that came to me was mental health. This is going to be a mental health issue, and I saw people saying that's a bit of a cop out. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a cop out, but it's not, because it is. All of these things are mental health issues. It just depends what people's interpretation of what a mental health issue is. And do you know what I mean? It's Tia Louisa. Morning, everyone from Oz. I used to work at the Bondi Junction, Westfield. It's the first Harsh Live I've been able to watch. Bloody hell, Tia. I used to actually work there. Do you know what I mean? And it's it's, I don't know. You know, for those of you who have been around the channel for a while, you'll know. You know, my own personal experiences with mental health, with like my mother. I saw how quickly things can completely descend into utter chaos, and you know it's real. You know, this mental health issue out there is real. And I do get that you do get people who are just batshit fucking nuts. Do you know what I mean? They're just absolutely crazy. But still, that still stems back to the same thing. This is I don't know. It is a mental health issue, but it's got to start being taken more seriously, because things are never going to improve. They're just not ever going to improve. But anyway, let's go back to here. What else we got in the news? I see Sebastian. Hold on, let me just flick over here. Just get rid of that. Yeah, I see Sebastian Rogers is still missing. There's still nothing going on in terms of finding him now. I did hear something about the father. Was it the father taking a polygraph test or something and fallen asleep? I also saw. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Evil Exists who copied someone's post. I can't remember who it was, but that was a conversation. It seemed to be like a text conversation that was with Sebastian's dad, who was basically, it was like he was saying, we know what happened. We know what happened. You're saying that you are cooperating with the police, but that doesn't mean that you haven't done anything. We know what happened, which was a bit bizarre. Let me just see if I can bring that up, actually. Might be able to find it. Let me go over here. Just do this. Go on to, like I say, I'm pretty sure that was Evil Exists. Let's have a look. Evil Exists. What's going on here? Major crash. Oh, that was something. Some breaking news just come up. We'll head over to that in a second. Let's just click on here. It says a major accident that just come up. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, here we go. So let's do screen share. I'll swap that out. Show Safari and this. So yeah, these are the so they were from Crime Stories Obsessed. I don't know if any of you had seen this, but here we go. So Christopher Proudfoot, why aren't you allowed around your own kids? And you think just because you are cooperating doesn't mean law enforcement aren't looking at you too. The rest of us sure are, because you two know exactly what happened. You are correct. We do know what happened, and everything has been reported to the law enforcement agencies. Thank you for stating the obvious. So this is what we're seeing. Thank you, Dixie. I had it. Well, I didn't have it. I was able to find it. But yeah. Let me just click over to here and just see what came up on the news. What came up on the news? Da-da. Well, something come up. What's going on then today? There's nothing on there at the second. I don't know. I came up and said something was breaking, but didn't actually say anything. See, no, don't know. Have no fucking clue. Have no clue. Maybe it'll come up in a bit. But yes, so what is people's thoughts and feelings there? What's with Sebastian, what's the general feel in the community in terms of what is going on with that situation? I see Tracy is also posting the Discord link. Could anybody who is a mod please hit that Discord link and join the Discord? In fact, if you're not a mod, join Discord. It is a place to hang out. And also, don't forget to smash like. Hit that like button. I'm just trying to see what people are saying about the Sebastian situation. What people are feeling. Heard there was an arrest. Let me have a look. Let me see if I can bring up this and see if we can find it. See, I can't have the VPN on the computer while I'm running a live, because for some reason my live streaming software doesn't work with a VPN running, which is bizarre. Let's have a look and see if we can search on here. Sebastian Yeah. No, even on here, it's not saying a lot either. Not saying a lot at all. In fact, the last story that's come up on there is from a week ago. That's rubbish, isn't it? 4 arrests. Oh yeah, that was in that one. I'm just trying to keep up with chat. What's going on here? I'm not getting them today. Yeah, I'm trying to remedy this as well. Why is that screen? Why don't that screen ever work properly up there? People are going to start freaking out in a minute. They'll be like, "Don't start pressing buttons. Don't start pressing buttons. Please don't start pressing buttons." I'm not pressing anything. Don't worry. I'm not pressing anything bad. I'm just saying. I'm trying to figure out how far behind I am. It says excellent connection, so hopefully I'm not too far behind you. Discord is done. Thank you very much. Arrest in the Oklahoma case. Yeah, we've gone through that. Let me bring the old news back up on here. What's that doing? No, that's not it, is it? News. That's what we want. Oh, what's that doing? Get shot of that. I believe he took off. It has been known to happen. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've considered that the poor lad that has walked off. I say poor lad. They can be very, very resourceful. We've spoken about this before. A body was found in Pearl River, Mississippi, near Lawrence. No identity as to male or female yet. That's not sounding great, is it? Is Chris Proudfoot actually working? Well, I don't know. I don't think he's working at the moment. Dope soul. May I have your attention, please? This is serious. If you are watching this, don't forget to smash like, please and thank you. You may now return to the regularly scheduled programming. Thank you very much, Dope. Well said. Well said. Yeah, I don't think he's definitely not working at the moment. He's obviously, this is all going on. Let me just go on to Los Angeles Times. What's happening in Los Angeles Time? Like I say, shortly, I'm just going to talk briefly on the Idaho 4 case. This isn't going to be a long live. We're not like the other night. That fucking spiraled out of control, that did. Just seeing if there's anything worth discussing. There isn't a lot happening, to be fair, but it is the weekend, isn't it? It's the weekend. Not a lot happening in Los Angeles. Kansas City were kind of the main stories there. 2 dead, 1 injured after a double homicide Saturday night in Blue Springs. What do we got here? 2 dead and 1 injured after a double homicide Saturday near Blue Springs, South High. 2 people died and a third was injured in a double homicide Saturday night near Blue Springs, South High School. Police responded around 10:30 p.m. to Wilbur Young Park on a shoot-and call. They found 2 men shot, including one who was 19 and the other one who was 20. Both were taken to hospital where they were declared dead, according to a news release. A 17-year-old man was also shot but received non-life-threatening injuries. The names of the victims have not been released. No suspect has been taken into custody. The investigation is ongoing. Oh God, we got some royal family news as well. What do we got here? Meghan Markle. What's she kicking off about? Oh, Meghan Markle. He was once known as the Party Prince, famed as much for his wild antics as for his royal upbringing, but since settling down with wife Meghan Markle in 2018 and under her PR-savvy tutelage, Prince Harry has waved goodbye to his former persona. Gone are the days of falling out of nightclubs. No, now he's just fallen out with the rest of the royal family. Well done, son. Gone up in the world. And being papped on lads' nights out, replaced by a philanthropic father who's more likely to be doing a juice cleanse at home in Montecito than necking shots at one of London's nightclubs. But we all need to let off a little steam now and then, and Harry is no exception, especially after a bumpy 12 months. According to insiders, the US-based prince is reeling from his and Meghan's public flops of the last year, coupled with some complicated feelings following the news that both his estranged father, King Charles, and sister-in-law, Kate Middleton, are being treated for cancer. Oh my God. There's always something in there. So with the long-awaited return to the UK penciled in for May, where he's due to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games with a speech at St Paul's Cathedral, we're told Harry will be taking the opportunity to catch up with old friends and potentially squeeze in some early birthday celebrations ahead of his big 40th in September. Oh, what I'd do to be 40 again. So what's this just about then? Is this literally just talking about him? Oh, here we go. As Heat has told you, Harry and Meghan weathered a PR storm last year after a series of blunders. Not only were they dropped by Spotify, with one executive labeling them fucking grifters, they were also dubbed work shy and money hungry. Then Harry's memoir Spare landed them in further hot water for his Whitney diatribe against the royals. They ended the year as two of the Hollywood Reporter's biggest losers, prompting them to step back and re-strategize their brand. I don't think there's any coming back. You either love them or hate them. They're like fucking Marmite, aren't they? They're like Marmite. Love them or hate them. And that's the same with everyone. Do you know what I mean? You're either someone... I just don't get it. Said Justin. I ignore those two. They're like the plague. But again, everyone is. Do you know what I mean? You either like someone or you just don't. People will hate me. You know what I mean? People will either like me or hate me. We can't like everyone. We can't like everyone. And they are certainly an acquired taste. Anything else happened? Anything else happened? Idaho statesman. What's happening in Idaho? Like I say, we'll touch on that in a second. Go to the fallout of the court hearing the other day. But please talk about something else other than Cheesy Watson and his wife. Cheesy Watson and his wife. Funny. Idaho Supreme Court, whether Idaho has a lot going on, but nothing worth talking about, he says. Anyway, what I do want to just talk about before we wrap up is just briefly talk about, obviously there's, as with every time, whenever there's like a court here in the Idaho Fall, it spurns some content, and it spurns different types of content. You've got the people who seem to understand what's going on more, and they'll start talking about the heron and their interpretation of it. Then we've got the other people. Hello to any of the new people coming in. Hello. Like I say, just a short live this evening. So you've got like the two sides of the fence. But the funny thing is, and look, you guys know me, and people like Baby Girl will attest to this. You know, I'm not someone who was pushing innocence or guilt of Brian Koberger. And I was just talking to Dope, I can't remember whether it was earlier or yesterday, just about the route that Brian Koberger had driven that night that not many people talk about, going by Snake River. And it was a how can I say, it is something that you do have to think about. Where even if you're someone who is, open to the fact that Brian Koberger may not have done this crime, you still have to kind of consider some of the things, some of the elements that cause you to question things. And yeah, but anyway, I digress. Point being that regardless of what side of the fence you're on, I think the point is that Heron the other night dispelled some rumours that have perpetuated a lot of what things come back. Thank you, Gainer. Thank you. what has spurned some of the guilters' mentality, and it was this stalking situation, and and the following of the victims on social media, which I found it quite funny because there's still people who they double down. Do you know what I mean? They hear something. Literally, it was said in court. Brian Koberger, thank you very much, Helen. Thank you. Basically turned around and said, look, he wasn't stalking them. It's untrue that he was stalking them, and he wasn't following them on social media. And you think to yourself, how can these guilters, we'll call them guilters, and what I mean when I say guilters, okay, is this. It's not so much the people who have looked at things and think, do you know what, I feel he's guilty. I've seen what I've seen, and I find that enough to believe that he's guilty. But I respect the fact that he's got to go through the system. He's got to go through it, and there's obviously a lot more to come up. Why can't I see this? Testing, 1, 2, 3. What in the bloody hell is wrong with this thing today? I can see that, dope. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Candy as well has joined. New member, Candy. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, and the fact that they've turned round. What's your view on the knife sheath DNA? That's the only thing that I have worried about. I'll come to that in a second. I'll leave your comment up there so I don't forget. Because there are a couple of things. What for me are the only things that it worries me so much. It's not so much worries me. I don't, at the end of the day, I just want whoever's done it to get found to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So at the end of it, we're confident in the answer. That we're confident. Even the court hearing the other day, if you read between the lines and see how the community on here has, okay, was super chat off or something? I haven't turned anything off. No, super chat work. I don't even know. No, it's definitely not off. What was I going to say? My head went blank. No, but what I'm saying is, so with regards to this stalking situation, people are listening to them say, look, he hasn't stalked them. But people turn around and say they don't mean that. They don't mean that he wasn't stalking them, because they still have to try and push that he's stalking them. And this whole situation is proven how biased the community is. The community is biased. Latah County will be biased. Everyone around it is biased, because they get told something straight from the horse's mouth. The prosecutor comes out and says that Brian Koberger weren't stalking him, and that still isn't enough. That's not enough for people to understand that with Ann Taylor on public record stating there is no connection between her client and the victims, and the prosecutor saying, hello, Candy, and saying there isn't, there's no stalking, there's no social media connection, then you've got to, if you were someone who thought to yourself, I believe beyond a reasonable doubt that Brian Koberger did this, I believe it, and one of the things that helped you along in that journey was to believe that he stalked them, now that's been removed, do you not then step back a bit and go, okay, now my thoughts and feelings have changed somewhat, because there's now this gap here, and I need that to be moved. Truth Nation. So now we have no motive, no connection, no weapon, no data, phone off, not even stalking. They have touched DNA on something that isn't a weapon. Nice. And that brings me full circle back to Helen's comment here. What's your view on the DNA on the knife sheath? That's the only thing that I have worried about. Now, ultimately, it would be a huge coincidence if Brian Koberger's DNA was genuinely on this knife by way of being transferred some other way. Now, it could happen, but it would be such a coincidence, weren't it, that Brian Kohberger just happens to have DNA that ended up on a sheath at this crime scene. But it's like what the commenter just was there. Let's not forget that we have not. It's not been confirmed publicly that that knife sheath is indeed connected to the murder weapon. We don't know that. We're kind of filling in the gaps there. So we don't know anything about that knife sheath at all. We don't know if it's connected to the murders at all. We don't know if it was anything to do with the knife. But yes, you're right. In terms of that knife sheath with Brian Kohberger's DNA, there is an issue there. You've got to think to yourself, how did that transpire? Is it because someone placed it there? And I know people kind of, oh, here we go. This is conspiracy theory, but is it really conspiracy theory? Could somebody have put that knife sheath there in order to, or put his DNA on that knife sheath? Transfer. Let's not forget it is transfer DNA. So they could have taken his DNA from something and put it on that knife sheath. It's not blood. It's not, seminal fluid or anything like that. It is literally transfer DNA. So it could have been taken off something. Let's not forget, Brian Kohberger, he lived, not far from here. Could they have taken it off a car door handle, for instance? Could they have took it off his apartment building's door handle and put it on there? So it could have absolutely been planted there because they genuinely believed that he did it and they needed a smoking gun. And to turn around and say that, oh, that's not ever going to happen is naive. Now, I'm not saying that is what has happened there, but what I'm saying is it's possible. I'm not saying that's what happened. And like Elizabeth said, I think it's a stretch. It is a stretch. But has it happened? Has it happened in the past? Can anybody genuinely in chat now, anyone in chat now, honestly say they believe, hand on heart, that the police, law enforcement, has never, ever planted evidence to obtain a conviction? If you can, I think it's too small of an amount to be transferred by someone else, but that's kind of a conundrum there, isn't it? Because too small of an amount to be transferred by someone else. So if it was transferred directly, then would you not have expected more? Don't forget about degradation. Don't forget about just degradation. I believe that if he would have been handling that knife himself, where he's got DNA on it, there would have been more on it. I could argue that. I think if someone has transferred DNA, that whole knife sheath around this knife sheath, everything seemed to me too specific. It was too specific. Where it was found, how it was found, and the DNA on it. It was, like I say, it was almost like it was too good, an orgy of evidence. And I just, yeah. And you've got, like I say, I don't think anybody could turn around, hand on heart, and say law enforcement, not with a straight face anyway, and say law enforcement has never ever planted evidence in order to obtain a conviction. And when you step back and look at this case and all of the things around it, I think that there was enough of an incentive to at least do it. There was so much pressure and money in the background. This deal with Phoenix University and the issues around that deal floating around. And if they didn't, would it then start getting to the point where law enforcement are then forced to start looking into other people and into the university? Was it a case of doing something before the eyes start looking in a certain direction and say, look, we're now going to have to start looking at people? So I can genuinely, like I say, I'm not saying this is what happened, but am I saying that I couldn't honestly turn around and say that it definitely didn't happen? Absolutely, I can't. I think anybody who would turn around and say they could 100% say that knife sheath is not planted. There's no point. There's nothing. It's definitely not happened. I think that's being very naive. I'm not saying there was nefarious intent, even. It's not even about thinking that it's nefarious. I'm just thinking, could it have been law enforcement who believed that Brian Coburg was the guy for some reason? They just believed he was it, but there just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough, and they needed something. It happens. It happens, and that's how I feel about it. But the only thing that does throw me a loop is, like I say, the conversation I had with Dope, and it was referenced Brian Koberger and the route that he drove, and the fact that that route did take him to Snake River, and you think to yourself, that would have been a perfect place to have got rid of clothing, got rid of a weapon. So there is that argument. But it's the fact that they aren't using the DNA as evidence. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And again, this is what I mean by they needed a smoking gun. They needed something to be. They thought that they would get that. I don't think it's like all of these cases. A lot of these cases, not all of them, but a lot of them, they don't appreciate how quickly they spiral out of control on social media. I think there's people there is a naivety about the way that cases come alive on the internet and on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard one. Hopefully we'll learn more. But that's what makes sense to me. It just makes sense that they need the smoking gun. They got one. And they've kind of hidden a lot of the DNA situation. They thought they could hide behind different legislations, different laws, and it bit them in the ass. They tried to reverse engineer a case, and I think that they've got a weak case, and I think that's why they're fighting so much to not allow this case to leave Latah County, because they want to leverage the bias that's out there in order to assist them. Because without enough facts, it's like what I said the other day, when all you've got is this type of evidence, then you do rely heavily on bias, how people see it. A coffee, a small one, but thank you very much, Danny. Thank you very much. I can't drink too much coffee anyway. Can't drink too much. I can only have 2 a day. Well, what do we got? At least there are 12 chances for him, and if he is guilty, I hope it's proven. 100%. Like I say, I'm not closed off, should I say, to Brian Koberger being guilty. Absolutely not. Do I feel that he could have done it? I do believe that he could have done it. When you hear about these crimes that spiral out of control, like the river killing, the Apple River killing, was it, that we just recently spoke about, and how quickly that escalated into something. But again, that still then points to is there legs in what happened with the frat fight. And I know there's still people who turn around and say, oh, this frat fight didn't happen. The frat fight did happen. Cara Canodal confirmed it herself. Some of us had spoken to Cara directly. I was one of the people who spoke with her directly, and there was indeed a fight. And that fight was bad enough that her father was going to come back to see her. Super chat, Helen, thank you very, very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's one of them. They aren't using the alleged tip DNA. They're using his DNA that was taken later, I believe. Yeah, so it was almost like they said, oh, all of that now doesn't matter because we was able to get a cheek swab off him. So we'll just use that and just say, well, yeah, we found his DNA at the scene. So I don't know. Full House Saturday night, no way he walked into that. And this is a valid question. It's always been a valid question. And especially this here as well. This what Steve Shadow has just said. Like Full House Saturday night, no way he walked into that. And we talk about the stalking, and this is why the stalking scenario is so important. Whoever did this crime, in my opinion, they had to have knowledge about this property and who was in it. That's kind of my mentality. I think to myself, nobody would have walked into this house blind. No one would have walked into this house blind. And even if someone had have stalked this house, would they have gone into a house that was such a party house when there was other houses that were quieter? Because this was the house where the party seemed to happen. This was the house that kept getting the police being called because of noise complaints. This was the house that we have seen documented in public that there was drinking there. There was other, all of the stuff that was going on there. So many people in that house, and sometimes even the people who lived there weren't there, but other people were there. So even if you're stalking and you're watching that house as an outsider, why would you have chose that night on a Saturday night, early hours of Sunday morning, after a football match? Remember the Davis University and Idaho University football match. So this was a football match night on a house that is renowned for having loads of people over, parties. Why would somebody have walked into that house when if there was other stuff going on? And then you have to think to yourself, okay, the only thing that would have made someone think to yourself, all right, they're going into this house is because something in that house or a person in that house is the target. So they're specifically targeting someone in that house. Going into this house. And you think to yourself, that's the only thing. If this was someone who just was looking to kill someone, just to kill someone, do you know what I mean? They were off their head and they were just going into a house to because they got this pent up thing inside them and they just needed a release. They could have gone into one of the other houses that weren't a party house, that weren't renowned for having loads and loads of people in there. So again, you have to think to yourself, there was something that got the person who did this to go to that specific house. Because that's the only thing that makes sense for someone to go into this house on this night and with that risk involved. So if you remove out of the equation Brian Koberger stalking them, so there's no social media stalking. They're saying that he wasn't stalking. So you turn around and think to yourself, so what was the connection then? Because there must have been a connection for whoever done this crime. There was a connection to that property. There was a connection because nobody would have risked going into that house without there being something that connected what they wanted to do to that specific place. That's my opinion. I don't see this as opportunistic. I don't see it as that. I don't see this as an opportunistic crime. I see this as somebody made a decision to go into this house for a specific reason, and the specific reason was the target, the person or people that they wanted to attack were in that specific house. And that's my thought process. And that's why the stalking element of this is so important. And people might turn around and say, oh, people think that just because there's no stalking, there's no crime. You can almost say that if there is no stalking, if there's no connection, then that does lower the probability of it being that specific person who done the crime, especially when you factor into the situation that there are other people who there was an issue with that night, there was arguments, there was fights, and people lost their lives. And they would have been people who knew who were in that house, were familiar with the house, who was familiar with who was in there, and could have likely been backed up with other people, which does away with this thing that's in the back of your mind where that question going, could one person have done this on their own? You think, yeah, they could, 100%, but does Brian Koberger have the stones, the ability, the mental capacity and stamina to do it? Is Brian Koberger an absolute stone cold killer with the skills of a military assassin going into somewhere and murdering 4 people quickly, efficiently, and getting away pretty much scot-free, apart from what seems to be a gift-wrapped knife sheath? Anyway, I'll take a look at the comments before we log off, and then we'll wrap it up, as we've been running for 55 minutes. Bonnie Messick has joined. Thank you very much for joining, Bonnie. It's nice to have you aboard the Madhouse. He was never charged with stalking, right? No, he wasn't. He wasn't charged with stalking. There's been some stories that's floated about this other person who he helped with cameras, but no, he's never been. There's nothing apart from a situation where, while he was into the narcotics situation, he tried to sell his sister's phone. Smash that like, or I'll smash you. Is Brian a confidential informant? I don't personally think so. I don't think so. And I haven't seen the movie Go either. Sorry. People who kill indiscriminately do not target one home like that and have no other evidence of violence or mental health. There you go. No, it was Kaylee saying to Maddie, what did you tell Adam? And Maddie said, I told Adam everything. Yeah. And like little things like this, they may mean nothing, but do they mean nothing when not long after that conversation you've got yourself 4 victims? And I found it interesting as well where Steve Gonsalves, in his interview the other night, he talks about the fact that Jack had lived with them for a few days after this situation. Now, we've heard that there was a bit of an issue between Steve Gonsalves and Jack, where it would appear that Steve Gonsalves has had to check Jack over for injuries and things like that. We don't know how accurate that is, but that's what we've been told. But what Steve did say, straight out of the horse's mouth, is that Jack stayed with them for a few days after this happened, and it seems that they were going through the people who was around. And let's not forget, right, this is when you start going back to the beginning and you think to yourself, okay, don't forget that Steve Gonsalves had turned around and said they didn't have to go upstairs. They didn't have to go upstairs. They didn't have to go upstairs. That's exactly what he said. So now, when you're coming forward a few months and now learning that Jack had stayed with them after this happened for a few days and was helping them with everything, it would appear, in my opinion, that Jack had spoken about this fight, and it was potentially Jack's initial thoughts that this fight is what was the catalyst to what happened. And that's why Steve Gonsalves had turned around and said they didn't have to go upstairs. Because he believed at that point, when he said that Ethan and Xana, or Ethan or Xana, Ethan was the target. And he felt that they could have just whatever happened, but they then decided to go upstairs. There you go. Goat is a movie about frat life, very real. I'll have to check that out. I'll check it out, my friend. But there you go. Is there any other comments you want to speak on before we wrap it up quickly? BF's exculpatory evidence unique to her experience is what I want to know. I reckon what the issue is with that, I reckon her version of events of that night contradict Dylan Mortenson's, and that's an issue. So all they have to say, all that has to be exculpatory is that her rendition of that evening brings into question Dylan Mortenson's version of events. So if she says, well, I saw someone in the house who I didn't recognise, and she says it was at 3 o'clock, say, not 4 o'clock or whenever it was, then they have a problem. And that could be the exculpatory evidence. And we've heard this situation about potentially seeing a naked person leaving. We don't know 100%, but it is on public record that Bethany Funk, through a private investigator put on by the defense, found that she had exculpatory evidence and that her version of the evening was her experience. It was hers. And that's what I believe. I believe that their versions of the night varies in a way that brings into question the potential eyewitness account. And like I say, all she has to say is that she saw someone else in the house 3 hours earlier, or an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier. That's all she has to say. Yes, though, there was a it was floating around that there was a naked person seen leaving. I don't know where it came from originally, but it was out there. It was out there. It was like the one that was seen by the filming students as well. That girl is guilty as sin. Lorna, thank you, Harsh. You work so hard, and we appreciate you, and the wonderful mods and community are lovely and respectful. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for saying such a kind thing. Thank you. But there we go. They couldn't have a trial in 6 months if the prosecution is still waiting on things. Yeah. They were all waiting on stuff by the sounds of it. They only just got over a load of the discovery. But no, I think that's about it. Keep an eye out tomorrow for videos, and I will also be doing a live tomorrow. I think it's going to be tomorrow evening again rather than morning. But keep your eyes peeled. I think there'll be 3 videos in total. And as Truth Nation Uncensored here, that's why they ran to the grand jury. Yeah. They ran to the grand jury because by going to a grand jury rather than a preliminary hearing, if they'd have gone to a preliminary hearing, there wouldn't have been enough at that point to hold Brian. I believe that they didn't have enough. They would have had to have spoken about things that, they didn't want to. So they went to the grand jury. That's what they do. I'd done a video the other day about that Joshua person who managed to get off. They wanted to. They were going to have him up for murder. And that bloke even turned around and said, "That's what they do. They do grand juries so they can they can nail a conviction. As simple as that. Tactics, dirty tactics. But anyway, you enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, the rest of your weekend, and I shall catch you all in a few hours' time. I was going to say tomorrow. Well, it's actually midnight, so I'll see you in a few hours. You take care. And Richard Allen, I'll be talking about Richard Allen in a video soon. I'm not going to start talking about him now because we'll be here for another hour, and I'm conscious that you've all got better things to do than listen to me. You take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall catch you all in a few hours. Take care, and thank you, mods. You're absolutely amazing, by the way.